Hi, in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you a herbal detox dip. That sounds a bit out there, but this is going to be so nourishing for your liver, and it's a great way to incorporate really good fresh quality herbs, and it's something I make every week to have in my fridge, and when I come home from work or when I'm just really busy and I'm really dropped my blood sugar, I can reach for this dip and have it with sticks, veggie sticks or crackers or things like that. Anyway, I'm Sheridan Genrich, a clinical nutritionist and naturopath practicing for over 10 years, and I want to welcome you to Health by Nature. So today's dip, we need really good quality organic herbs, and I'm going to start with the ones that I've chosen because I've actually selected them because I'm working with people that are quite sick, and I want to be able to get as much phytonutrients from the plants in there as possible. And coriander or cilantro, if you're in the US, is known to be quite good for removing heavy metals and detoxing in general. And I use also some curly leaf parsley, which is excellent for liver as well, and basil, just to offset the flavours a bit, because these are very herby and basil's quite sweet. I've also roasted a clove of garlic. You could just use a raw garlic clove as well. I often do. Because I've roasted it, I'm leaving the paper on there, but otherwise you could just peel it off if you wanted. Now I'm going to, you just need a high-speed blender and a knife, really. That's all you need to make this recipe, and it really doesn't take very long if you've got all the ingredients at home on hand. I might actually start with putting some oil in the bottom, just so it doesn't stick quite as badly. I'm going to use about a tablespoon, not heaps of oil in there, but that's about a tablespoon. And if we need more, we can add more later. But I find, I get oils into the diet in other ways. Now, so this is a handful of curly leaf parsley, as I said, a handful of coriander, and about half a handful of basil, and the clove of roasted garlic. Just goes into the blender like that. With this recipe, I like to balance out the sweet with salty, with strong bitter herbs, which is what these are, as well as give it a little bit of freshness. So I use actually 2 whole lemons. You can certainly use lemon juice. I'm just like quite a simple cook. I like to just use as much as I can of these ingredients, and you can get a little bit of extra fibre in there as well. I've pre-soaked some Styrian pumpkin seeds. They have more zinc, which is excellent as a mineral for men and women. It's also that's for their sex hormones, but it's also very good for your gut health as well. And it just adds a little bit of chunkiness to the dip that I like. And some lemon zest, about half of a whole lemon zest in there. That goes in. Then you can flavour this up really however you like with the things that you like. I like a little bit of apple cider vinegar. I use in the Brags because it's got the mother in it. And just about a tablespoon of that. Very good for people with low hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is how we break down the proteins in our stomach, and as we age, it really drops naturally. Plus, if you're under a lot of stress or you've been on any protein pump inhibitors, that's also going to impact the amount of hydrochloric acid you produce. So very important and very, very common thing that I see people being low. The other things that I'm going to use is some nutritional yeast flakes. I've got some Dulse flakes here, a good source of a little bit of iodine. People with thyroid issues, not necessarily Hashimoto's, but thyroid issues can benefit from a little bit of iodine naturally through food sources. Is also going to make sure it doesn't accumulate in high amounts. Then I'm also just going to add the things that I normally do. I'm going to use the a quarter cup of nutritional yeast flakes. And when I'm blending, I'm usually mixing a bit of dry with wet ingredients. Otherwise, you'll find that it kind of sticks on the sides quite quickly. So I'm about to do that. I use half a cup of these nutritional yeast flakes. Good for vegans. They're a good source of B12, and try and look for good quality ones as well, because otherwise the processing can damage them a bit as well. Now I'm just going to put a teaspoon. Don't want too much Dulse flakes. Just a teaspoon there. And I do like a little bit of chili, but not too much. These are like organic chili flakes. I'm just using an old jar. I reuse a lot of glass jars and store things that I buy in bulk. So it's about half a teaspoon in there. Could use less if you don't want too much chili. And I'm going to keep my oil on hand, because if it does get too dry, then I can always go back to that. Sometimes I do use a half a zucchini or a whole zucchini as well in this recipe, just to add more water content and more vegetables, but I didn't have any today, so I'm not putting that in. And we've got tahini to still go in here. This is just a quarter of a teaspoon of curry powder that I'm using, just to, again, give it a little bit more flavour. If you're a very plain, you like stuff really plain, you could just stick with the lemon juice and none of these herbs and spices. That's totally acceptable. Remember, this is just a way of getting into a habit of having something on hand in the fridge that is healthy, and that has a lot of herbs in it. So about roughly a pinch of salt in there. Now this is a bit out there. I am going to use some green leaf stevia in this. I have made this recipe for kids as well, with a little less chili. But I like to offset some of the tartness and some of the bitterness, because it's what stops people from having a lot of these types of things in their diet. So this green leaf one is it adds a little bit of sweetness, but it's very unprocessed. And stevia is actually a herb we've used in herbal medicine for treating people that have diabetes and blood sugar issues. So it's not going to spike your blood sugar like honey or maple syrup would. But if you want to use those and you don't have any concerns about sugar, that's fine. And just taste it maybe as you go. Then we've got I'll put the oil in just so that the powders don't kind of spray up everywhere. And then I can also keep a little bit of purified water on hand as well. And last but not least is just some tahini. It just adds that creaminess. Now, sesame seeds are a higher source of calcium than a glass of milk. So 1 tablespoon of tahini. And you can see how, things are just looking really easy so far. So I'm just going to grab some water. I think it might just need a touch. I would add it as you go though. And it's really there just to make sure those powders don't kind of spray up too much. The best part about cooking with a blender is that you can just make it your own and do it quickly as well. So just reduce this down. You can hear how the crunchiness of just a little bit of that quarter cup of pumpkin seeds is just going to give it a little bit of texture. So if you don't want that texture, just blend it longer and it'll become more like a sauce and really, really smooth. Okay. I call this anything from, like I said, a dip to a sauce to a dressing, whatever you want to do. The main thing is that the more liquid, like water or oils or lemony juice you add, the more thinner it's going to get. So then it becomes more things that are more sauce-like. That is how quick it is just to flavour up plain veggies. And I'm just going to put it out in a little jar. This is the one I made the other day. And you can see after a while it really thickens up as well when you put it in the fridge. And also those herbs just infuse together in a way that just makes them so much more harmonious. And Yeah, it's just such a good savoury snack to have on hand. What I would usually do is put them, I keep like little glass jars like this, and I would just put them out when people come around or the kids come home. And I mean, obviously bearing in mind there's less chili in there, but you want to be able to just have something that people can snack on while they're starving and waiting for dinner or something. And if you didn't want to use celery sticks, I recommend, you know, things like cucumber sticks or carrot chopped up, and any like gluten-free type crackers that you want to be able to mix with it. It's always nice. This is a new brand that's come out. It's just got some seeds. You know, it's mostly just all seeds. Yeah, if you're feeling like you need a little extra boost. So, and that is like our 5-minute loving your liver detox dip. If you've liked this video and you think someone you know might benefit, please share it with someone and subscribe. All the links are in the description below. And until next time, be well.